The big story out of baseball. Pitchers and catchers starting to report on Wednesday. Well, that's also big, but so is this. Fernando Tatis Jr. agrees to a monster extension to the tune of 14 years, worth over $340 million. The 14-year contract, longest in Major League Baseball history, just turned 22 years old. One of the faces of Major League Baseball has now agreed to a mega deal, 14 years, over $340 million with the San Diego Padres. And for more reaction, welcome in former World Series champion Will Middlebrooks. Will, your reaction here, Fernando Tatis Jr., 14 years, $340.
I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not. This is the most exciting player in baseball right now. It's the most marketable player in baseball right now. It's the face of the game that MLB has been looking for, because Mike Trout is the best player in baseball, but not necessarily the most marketable face in the game. So this is amazing. He's 22. He just turned 22 years old, and he signed a 14-year deal. $340 million. Mike Trout and Mookie Betts were 27 when they signed their mega deals. And another really cool piece of information that goes with this, it keeps the Padres under the luxury tax threshold for this year at least. Well, who knows what they'll do next year with Preller going crazy in the front office. But they're a really good pitching team. They're a really good offensive team. And this just solidifies one of the best players in the game moving forward for the next 14 years.
How do you anticipate big leaguers reacting to this deal right now around Major League Baseball?
I think they're excited for it. I think this is the new wave of baseball. It's the new era. It keeps getting younger and younger and younger. And I was having this conversation with Jackie Bradley Jr. yesterday. The front offices, ownership, they like to penalize players in free agency for their age. So you can't really take advantage of a 22-year-old. Like I said, he's one of the faces of the game. He shows that he projects well. His ceiling is one of the highest we've seen in the game. So the players like it. Of course, the players like to see other players get paid because, hey, maybe it can be you as well.
Look, right now we don't have all of the details in terms of the contract, whether it's an opt-out, whether there's a situation where he could opt out after a few years. We don't have all of that information quite yet, as we've got this breaking news. But when you take a look at the deal just from a big picture, is this going to be something that you say in 14 years, man, that was a great deal, signing Fernando Tatis Jr. to this long-term deal to stay in San Diego?
Well, his body type projects well, right? So the AAV, we don't know if it's front-loaded, back-loaded, if it's evenly spaced, which would be the AAV is around 24 and a half a year, which isn't absurd if you're getting the production that he projects. That's the scary part for the San Diego Padres. Is he's only 22. He hasn't played even 162 games yet. This is all purely projection and gut feeling. That's a lot of money for a gut feeling, but I think most people around the league agree with it. So like I said, his body projects well. He's a shortstop now. Maybe if he does get bigger, he can move to third. He's athletic enough, and as we know moving forward, eventually there will be a universal DH in baseball. Probably not this year, but moving forward after the new CBA, there probably will be. So later in his career, when he gets to his mid-30s, maybe he loses a step defensively, he could be a DH. He's always going to hit. I think we can say that.
You played most of your big league career at third base. You've watched some great shortstops in your days, and now even as an analyst. When you watch Fernando Tatis Jr., what stands out to you?
Everything about his game right now. I mean, this kid's got the swag. He's got the hair. He's got sweatbands. He's got all the flow going that's easily imitated by kids, right? He is going to help grow the game. Players like this will help grow the game of baseball. It's kind of been in a dead period of growth lately. The younger generation has a ton of other things to keep their attention, but players like this, players like Fernando Tatis Jr., will help bring kids back to the game and their love of the game. So I love this sign for that reason, and purposely just MLB making a conscious action of growing the game of baseball.
I love that he swings on 3-0 pitches. That's what I like. The green light couldn't be any greener for Fernando Tatis Jr. And speaking of green, the money is green as well, and it's a lot of it. $340 million over 14 years. When you take a look at this team, this San Diego Padres team, the way it's built, and they had heck of an offseason. You give credit to A.J. Preller, the GM. That pitching staff, it can be right up there among the best in baseball with the additions of Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove. Of course, they're not going to have Mike Clevenger this season because of Tommy John. They still have a young prospect in Dinelson Lamet who can give you some good innings. Will, when you take a look at this team, and we already knew that Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to be part of the fold for the next few years. Now he's just going to be there for a lot longer. When you take a look at this team, what do you project for this team? Because the ultimate goal here is compete with the Dodgers in the NL West, get to the playoffs, and compete for a World Series.
That's the thing is most teams, and even good teams in baseball, you're like, wow, they're a really good offensive team. They're a good pitching team. They're a good defensive team. This team kind of has it all. I still think they're a tick behind the Dodgers in overall talent. They're close. They're right there. I still think they win 95, 96, maybe 97 games, but they still finish second to the Dodgers, who win more than 100. But this team isn't just built for this year. A.J. Preller and that front office has done a really good job of loading them up for success over the next 2 to 4 years. And then you start winning baseball games, a lot more free agents start coming to San Diego for more than just the weather. Now it's to win baseball games.
All right, so big picture here. Fernando Tatis Jr., does he see the end of this 14-year contract? Will he still be in San Diego when it's all said and done?
I don't know why not. I think so. I think he's the perfect guy for that chill vibe out in San Diego. He supposedly there's a no-trade clause. Obviously, that can be waived down the road if need be. But I think this is a perfect fit for that city, for that ball club, and to help grow the game of baseball.
Well, it's interesting that you said he's the face of baseball right now. Third largest contract in Major League Baseball behind Mike Trout and Mookie Betts. And it's Fernando Tatis Jr. with a 14-year, $340 million deal in San Diego as the youngster going to be there for over a decade. We'll see how that shakes out, and we'll see how this season plays out for the San Diego Padres. But making moves on this Wednesday, Will Middlebrooks with the reaction here on CBS Sports HQ. Will.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.